G'day and welcome to another podcast live where we're showcasing the Good Men Project, something that for me has become really important because I'm doing a lot of work at the moment supporting men and helping them get through different opportunities. And I really want to showcase some of the great men that are actually in our community. And so many of them are just men that we wouldn't otherwise know. Tonight, I've got Joel Miner who'll be joining us shortly. He's just coming in from work. And I think that's the most important thing here, right? Is the fact that they are just men in our community. They all have jobs. They all have bits and pieces that are important to them that they need to do. And tonight's no different. Normally, I'd wait for Jolie to turn up and actually start the broadcast so you get that for us together from the start. But seeing as though this is a new podcast or live, I want to share with you my whys. Why is this so important? Why is it so important to showcase good men in our community? I think it's really important because as Joel's just jumps into the studio, I'll jump him in a sec, but I think it's really, really important because a lot of the times that I meet men and they're looking externally for value when the value is actually internal. I know so many men that are so good in our community and so bloody valuable to one another. And I've just realised something, but that's been a bit of a change. But these men actually really add to our community. So the man I'm about to bring on screen now is Joel Miner, and I'll bring him in. Jolly, how are you, mate?
Good. What's going on?
Knocking out some dinner in between. Just
No,
before you jump on live.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
No, you're right.
Now, can you share with everybody who Joel Miner is?
I'm just a guy that lives in RockHampton.
Yeah. What do you do with yourself?
Now I'm a builder, mainly doing extensions and renovations in people's houses, changing the way they live. More of a lifestyle change. Don't do too many new ones, but main focus is that primarily a lifestyle change.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, how old are you, Joel?
31, just turned.
31 years old. Now, I think you're an exceptional man. I think at 31, you're achieving things that I wish I was achieving at 31. And I will get to that in a minute. But I'd like to start by asking you a question. What does being a good man mean to you?
I don't know, I guess showing up for the people who need it.
Explain that.
I guess it's like, I don't know, my view on it is like, as you get older, the circle of people you surround yourself gets a little smaller. And it's probably more about servicing that small group of people rather than having a big community is good, but as one person can only service so many people, right? So it's quality over quantity. And being able to help others where you need.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to dive into that straight away. Quality over quantity. What is that? Why is that important to you?
It's kind of like, building. Like you can be the builder that builds millions and millions of hundreds of houses a year, but at the end of the day, we all know what they get. And it's crap. Versus the, quality of having a bit smaller team. Yeah, you might pay a bit more for it, but you get something that's going to last a lot longer and, stand the test of time. And the same goes with relationships, right?
Yeah. So how much does building help you understand relationships better? Because You are a quality builder and you're well known for that. How does building help you with those relationships?
Well, you get to see a wide variety of people, right? Like you get, you know, people who are just cruisy and happy to go with the flow, and you get people who've got a very particular vision and want a very specific thing, and you've got to understand what they're actually wanting and be able to deliver that on their expectation, because it can go south pretty quickly if you don't have clarity on kind of what they're envisioning. So I guess, I would see upwards of, I'd probably have, it's getting a little bit slimmer now because I'm getting to a point where the things are getting busier, so I can be a little bit more picky. But over the years, I'd see anywhere from 100 to 150 people a year just in initial meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to get you times that by 3, 4 or 5 years of doing that. It's like 600-700 people that you're working with in that short period of time. Obviously, not all of them go ahead, but you start to see the different personalities and how everyone has such a different view on things, and you start to work out how people work and how they operate and what they do. So, and just from repetition, you can kind of start to gather on what's important to people, what's not. And yeah, just working with that many different personalities, you kind of start to figure out how to work in with people.
Yeah, so I'm going to grab something now, because one of the things that impresses me the most about you is your identification of people that are important in your life and making sure that the important things are important. Now, one of the things in building that you do, and it's part of your initial meeting, is you actually qualify people to see whether or not they're a good fit to work with you. Why do you do that?
You're gonna be fucked around. The short answer. I'll give people working with me. I'll give them all I've got.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure they're going to do the same back. So they're not shop around for 5 other prices, or they're not in it to rip anyone off. They need to make money. They need to keep business going. I want to make profit, and I'll also give you what you want. But there's a cost for that. So it's more about making sure that I've spent 15 years learning what I know now. It's taken, it's not an overnight thing that it takes to learn. And not too many people could do it. Like a lot of builders can do it, but not too many. The general people can't do it. And it's understanding that when you've got a skill that someone wants or a thing that they need, I'm happy to do that, but not at the expense of getting shopped around or looking for the cheapest price, or because we don't deliver the cheapest product. But there's a reason why in 20 years' time or 30 years' time, you still go back to it and there's nothing wrong with it. So it's just making sure that they've got their foot in the water as well as I do. Because I'll commit to it, but I want to make sure they're going to commit to it as well.
I love this, because you've just led completely to where I want to take you. Relationships are a two-way street, right? And qualifying your customers in building is really important, because how you spend your time is valuable. What about relationships in your life? Do you qualify your relationships in your life too?
Yeah, it's similar. I guess it's a similar process. You kind of have your, you have your ideal client or avatar or person, and it's kind of like, does this person tick these boxes? Do they share similar values, or do they share similar morals, all that sort of stuff? So that obviously people who are like themselves, right? So you're sort of making sure you're all on the same book.
You don't mind a challenge, though?
Nah, I don't mind a challenge.
Why do you like challenges?
That's where your self-worth and comes from, and also it's where you learn stuff. I don't know. I just like learning mainly.
Yeah.
Otherwise get bored. While I run a business, you never know what's going to happen.
What's been your biggest challenge in life to date?
Don't know, probably personal relationships, to be honest.
Yeah, explain that.
Oh, it's just something I struggle with. Like, have no dramas, meeting people, connecting, all that sort of stuff. But when it physically comes to being with someone, different story.
Can you explain more about
Um, in what way?
that? Being with somebody that it's harder. Why is that harder?
I know, like, I just like variety. That's probably one of
Mhm.
my biggest things I love the most. Um, doing different things with different people. So, yeah, something I'm learning currently.
Hmm. How long have you been going through the process of building a relationship?
What, as in over the years or recently?
Yeah, over the years.
I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah. And what's been the biggest challenge in you to actually get that relationship going?
I'm wanting to stay with one person.
Hmm. Yeah, and this is interesting because are you free to speak openly about all things?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, brilliant. One of the greatest things I have absolutely loved about Joel. Joel and I sit together every Monday. We have done for 3 years, processing life and the opportunities that come with it. Someone who's 31, I don't look at him as a 31-year-old. I look at him as an equal because of the way he communicates and the way he connects with other people. One of the things I admire most about you is the fact that you're prepared to be uncomfortable in order to grow and being open to different relationships, especially at your age, is so important because you're trying to figure out what it is you actually want. And it's something that we've discussed in detail. What have you learnt through that process in trying to figure out what you want?
Well, I think over the years, you quickly learn. I don't know, some people may disagree with this, but like, it's like the high school sweethearts. It's like they've been together since school, and at some point, they're going to wonder what it's like to just go out there and experience different things with different people, male, female, whatever that may be. And I feel like at that age, you don't really know yourself well enough. And some people make it last, and you know, good on them. But I feel, as for my experience, I'm like, you don't even know yourself well enough. You don't know who you are. I feel like until you get to your sort of your 30s, you've done enough work to like figure out what that is. Because like if you can't work yourself out, then you're trying to work it out with someone else. Jesus Christ, like makes it a lot harder. So I think you learn from experience different things with different people. You learn, yeah, that was good, that was bad, no, I didn't like that. This is something I really loved, and you kind of start to pull the pieces together, where you can start to, I don't know, I guess design this puzzle and put all them pieces together to figure out what works for you and how you'd like it to be, I guess.
Yeah. I like that because we went through a stage where we were talking about things, and you're like at an experiment stage where you were experimenting, you're dating different women to understand what it is that you want, what you like. And the only way that you're going to know that is by actually being with other people so that you can actually understand what it is that you can actually give to that person, but also what are the things that you want. So that experimental stage, what I explain that to people watching here and what we're looking for.
I don't know, I guess just to be open to it, right? Like it's I see some people just get stuck on they think they got to marry the person the next one they're with. Like it's like just go with the flow and see what happens, and just use that to be able to, I don't know, learn how to communicate better, learn what do and don't like in the bedroom, like learn what values you like that person to have and how their view on life would be. So and you learn quickly really quickly what you don't like. Like, fuck that. Next. Like, not for me. So
Yeah. And that is such a brave thing to do. And one of the things that I want to give you huge amount of credit for, and one of the things that I admire most about you is as you're going through your experimental stage, you are completely honest with everybody you're with. You're calling a spade a spade. I'm not sure how this will go, but I want to try it, see what fits and see what doesn't fit. Yeah. How did you find? Go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think like the conversation is pretty. There's not much of a conversation to start off with. It's just see what happens until if you're hanging out enough times. Let's have a conversation. Like most of the time, it's the female that'll bring it up and say like, "Where's this going? What's happening?" And then that's when you sort of have that conversation about it. So,
what was the biggest challenge having that conversation?
Sometimes it's not always how they want it to be or how I want it to be, but that's just what happens, I suppose.
Yeah. What advice would you give to blokes trying to work that out, dating women to try and understand what it is that they want? What advice would you give them?
Drop your expectations.
Oh, explain that.
I could just take my own advice sometimes. Just dropping your expectations in regards to like what has to happen or how it has to happen. Like just go with the flow and see how it goes. Like, and that way you also don't get disappointed. But understanding what women want is a big thing. Like that has been a massive impact.
Brilliant. What is your understanding of what women want?
And well, it's how they want a man to act in regards to that masculine and feminine energy, because if you can push the female into that feminine side of being a little girl and how they just want to kind of be looked after and cared for and felt safe by the man, which is normally come from their internal state of their own self-worth is normally what does that. Like sometimes being afraid not to call them out on their bullshit, like, and just saying it how it is, because you can see they're, trying to make an excuse for something where it's, they're just trying to cover it up, or you have that position to be able to make them feel safe. They can open and talk about whatever they want in front of you, and creating that environment for them is really what they want.
Do you think that differs from women to men?
Yeah, definitely. It can go both ways, but I don't know, you hear it all the time, like the women feel in charge sometimes, and it's not in charge of like a dominance way, it's just they feel looked after and safe for you to take the reins, and most women want that, to like step out. And some are dominantly more masculine, but I feel as if 9 out of 10 times they just want someone to take the lead.
I'm looking forward to getting a few comments about that, because I'd like to discuss that further. I'm just going to go to the comments quickly because I think this is really valuable. Hugh, thank you very much. You're a wise head on young shoulders, Joel Miner. Thanks for sharing you. Hugh's actually a part of our Monday night crew and spends a lot of time with Joel, and we rate him very highly. So thank you for that, Hugh. Abdul, thank you. Life is of the greatest teacher. I think that's one of the greatest teachers. Until we experience it, we will evolve. 100% we will. This one. There's a lot of pressure from society for young men and women to pair up and marry, have kids, etc. Historically, much of this seems to be coming from religious beliefs. I feel that this pressure is less than it used to be. I don't put that on my children, nor do my circle of close friends. I really want to applaud that, James. I want to have a good conversation with Joel about that, because how do we know what we want in life until we've had the experiences that teach us that? And one of the things I love about Joel is he wanted to understand himself more than anything before he got into a relationship. Do you have anything to say to that, Jolly?
I think, like, going back to that, it just comes from and I guess it depends on your upbringing, right? Like, what's been drilled into you as a kid. Um, I never had, like, it was never much of you had to get married, had to have kids at a certain age or whatever. But I also, I also still think this because it comes back to saying self worth. Like, if your worth and your if your worth is drawn from other people or things or like from external sources by yourself, I think that's when a lot of people have trouble with that because, like, you give whatever you want meaning to. So if you can decide on what it means to you, then I don't like. It's not like for me to have kids by 25. There's no time. Like, yes, and it's harder for females than it is males, right? Because they're on a bit more of a biological timeline. But there's things now where you can freeze eggs and do all that sort of stuff where they've got a bit more time span to do that. And I can see that from women as from their side of things. It's a lot harder, especially if they have that maternal need for kids and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess for men it's a little bit easier. Like, we can be 40, 50 years old, find a woman that's younger to be able to still do that. Whether you want to be running with kids at that age is up to them. But yeah, I think it's coming back to how you view yourself and I guess the people you hang out with, right? Like,
Yeah. So, can I ask a question? Because one of the things that's coming up for me right now is like we're hitting up relationships and we're going raw. We're being honest with how things are. What are the traits that you really enjoy from women?
probably the biggest one is like having the emotional intelligence to like understand themselves, know their own worth. Like, they don't need to rely on someone. They're quite self-sufficient. Um, yeah, they don't need all the shiny stuff. They're just more about spending quality time or I guess having a good connection with someone. Someone's got a good listening ear is always good. Because believe it or not that many people are actually good at it. Yeah, sometimes people are quick to respond without just like sitting there and understanding what men want as well. It's the same for women. Like, sometimes we don't actually want to fix shit. We just want to have a big fucking rant and be done with it, and we'll sort it out tomorrow. Like, so yeah, I think being able to look after themselves and wanting to being good at communication, all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah. How much have you invested into understanding yourself so that you can have a deeper and stronger relationship with a partner?
Hundreds of thousands.
How much time have you spent understanding yourself so that you can project better to have a better partner?
No, I couldn't tell you, but it's been like the last 5 to 7, probably 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
What kind of things do you do?
Business coaching was one which significantly helped, which I didn't realize until sort of started dating, and you could apply the same principles from the business side of things to personal, and it had the same effect, if not better. And that's when I was like, yeah, there's something in this. So, but yeah, a lot of business coaching, more around mindset. Experience is always a good one, doing stuff that you haven't done before. Like, I've been learning to dance the last couple of months, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not a dancer. But I'm like, you just give it a go. Like,
Yeah.
and it's the explain, like, explain it's like the confidence and self-worth thing. Same as like a seesaw. Like, you've got this seesaw that every time you tell yourself you're going to do something, you don't do it. You put that weight on the side that you don't like. And every time you tell yourself you are going to do it, even just going to the gym, an hour a day and saying I'm going to do it, and you go and do it, you sort of build it up, and then you constantly this battle in between left and right of, if you're going to say you're going to do something, go and do it, because it's not, you got to live with you, right? So
Mm. So what else do you do?
A lot of podcasts, a lot of Audible. Don't read that much. Not much of a reader, but more of a listener.
So if you had to give somebody 2 books to read to create better relationships, what would you do? What would you offer them?
I don't know. I haven't got one relationship book that stands out, but one of my favorite books is Tony Robbins' The Power Within. Unleash the Power Within, I think it's called.
Yeah, why?
I don't know, just one of them books I'd probably listen to about 30 plus times. Like, just it's a good reminder on, life is good if you want it to be. Life is also shit if you want it to be too.
Mm.
So it's more about choice and choosing what's right. And there's a lot more to it than that, but having the right support network, understanding, people and yourself and all that sort of thing, so you can kind of process what's going on.
So you've just stepped into a relationship and taking the opportunity of actually being committed for the relationship. What are you worried about? What are the things that come into you that you're a bit of a concern, or things you're worried about having to grow through?
Most of mine is probably more on me, but it's like I said before, again, no expectation thing, but um, it's more about how it's supposed to be, or it's supposed to be a certain way, or how it's supposed to feel. All these little things that sort of start creeping in. Is it going to be right? All that sort of stuff. What if it doesn't work out and I let down the other person?
How are you addressing that?
Communication.
Mm.
Conversation I had to her last night about it.
Yeah.
So, which so she knows where I'm at.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing that conversation?
Yeah, that was kind of about that, and then which is she's very good at, like, she can sit there and process it, not judge. She's just like, thanks for letting me know where you're at. And she's like, just, things change, just let me know. So I think, like, being like, one of my biggest values is just be honest, like, just say it how it is, and it's not your responsibility how the other person responds. Yes, you can deliver it in a better way to be able to make that response for the other person easier, but yeah, I think it's just being open about it, like, and you've got to have someone in the same similar mindset to be able to handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to share how much I admire you for being open about this, because I just, with my personal experiences, we don't do anywhere near enough investigation before we get into relationships, and the investigation needs to be within ourselves. You've done things like the love languages. You've done what's that? Love and kindness. What's that one? Finding and keeping love. Finding and keeping love. You spend a lot of time around guys that are constantly developing better relationships, not just in work, but in home, with better fathers, better partners, better family members. How's that influence affecting you in all areas of your life?
I guess it just helps hearing other people's experiences, right? Like, someone did this worked, someone did this, that didn't work. Like, you can sort of bounce off them to see the responses they get off people. It's like, you don't have to learn it all by yourself. You can just use other people's experiences to, like, get a bit of a kickstart.
Yep.
So yeah, it's more, I guess, a bit more of a speed thing. If you sit there and soak it up, you can implement things quicker or learn quicker. Yeah.
Fast forward 5 years from now, 31 years old, you'd be 36. What would you like to see life look like?
I don't know. Well, say a little bit more traveling, but we'll do a bit of that as it is now. Just having a bit more freedom around work, to be honest. Not so like stuck and not stuck, but like set. It's just, it's like running a business just takes not so much out of you, but like 1 minute you get everything's going good, and the next minute like you're rolling down the hill all tangled up trying to fricking get your way out of it, and it's sometimes chaos and sometimes good, but it's always just trying to juggle that so it's not too much, but also enough to keep challenging yourself as well. So yeah, having a bit of a target to try and make life a little bit easier with a bit of passive income and things that if you want to cruise for a little bit you can, and if things happen with employees and that sort of stuff, and like at the moment it's pretty hard to get a lot of employees in our area just because there's so much work around, and it's quite challenging, which is pushing the prices of what it costs to have staff, which keeps pushing prices off to the owners and all that sort of stuff. But you got 5 builders all looking for the same guy. And it's not always the highest price wins with that either. It's more about, most of the time, it's about work culture and team environment and they're working with. So,
talk to me quickly about work culture and how important that is to you in your business.
Oh, it's just whatever, like that standard that gets set, right, is what breeds through the whole team, whether it's subcontractors, team members. Gone through periods where you have battles with staff and culture starts going downhill, and then the respect gets, lost, and all of a sudden it just becomes a bit of a fuck you game. So, which is something after that we've sort of put a few things in place just to basically, here's a standard. If you don't want to play the game, then go find somewhere else. No one's above that. No one's below that line. Like, you below the line, you get 1 or 2 chances, and after that, go find another job. Because to me, the culture is more important than anyone that's in the team.
How long did it take you to work out your actual culture that you wanted to implement in your business?
Experience a shit one.
But how long did it take you to actually implement the culture that you now have?
Oh, probably 18 months or something before the time I pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Like, because it's having some very skilled guys with a shit attitude is like, having a really good player on the team, but they're a fucking asshole. And they're good. They know they're good. But you're like, if things move and change, it's going to make my life harder. So, which was true for the time being, but that was getting to a point where you're not happy coming to work. So I'm just like, fuck this, something needs to change. Where you go.
So you had to decide what the standards were before you could have that culture, yeah?
Yeah, just shut one door for the next one when it opens. So.
How many other areas of your life does that apply to?
A lot. Sometimes you got to push yourself into one corner to decide, and then figure out the rest on the way through.
Yeah.
Still got one toe in the water over here. You ain't going to commit to that one over there because you've got a backup option.
Yeah.
If no backup, then you only have one option. What is it? If you're going to take over the island, burn the boats.
Well, I want to dive into that, right? Because that part there, your personal culture is to continually grow. You spend time and energy and money on growing consistently. Why is that so important to you?
Guess make your life better, right? Like, why just settle for the mediocre, average, just 9 to 5, go to work, do your thing, come home, be upset with your wife, get the shits? Like, why? What's the point? Wouldn't you rather have a life that's fucking unreal, but you've also got to put the work to get it? Most people don't want to do.
If you had one bit of advice to give to somebody, what would it be?
Work on yourself, because it'll fix a lot of your problems.
Hmm. I'm gonna go. I'm just sorry. Just a question just come up, and I'm gonna grab that. Joel, what led you into personal development, and how do we get more men to follow your example?
I don't know. I've always just had a curious mind. Like always wanting to learn more or know more or just be more curious about. Like what started it was initially was I used to quote that many jobs, never win work, just got the shits with it because it was you put so much effort into it. Oh, I'll make 10 grand cheaper. It's like, well, what are you getting? Oh, we just got one page. Like, I'm giving you 15 pages. Like, it just says renovation X amount of dollars. Like, you don't even know what you get. And it just used to shit me off. And it's like, there's got to be a better way. And that's when I started looking at a business coach, which was Mick. Started learning how to not just charge for quotes, but develop a system in the pre-construction process so that I'm not just charging for the same thing as Joe Blow's giving you for free down the street. There's a whole process to it that involves, if you want to minimize variations and things to run on time, we need to make sure that this pre-construction process and all the decisions are made. So they're getting bang for buck. And I tell you right now, the money they spend, I would hands down save them probably 10 times that through a build. And not to mention the like delay in time frames and stuff, because, we're not just winging stuff on items that haven't been selected and allowances and all that sort of stuff. So that's what started it. And that's kind of what kicked it off. Normally starts with a problem, right? Like problems normally what. And my initial thought was, fuck, there's got to be someone who knows, there's got to be someone who knows more about this shit than me, because I haven't been doing it long enough. So
I love that, because I was sitting with a young man today and we're talking about the opportunities in life, and we're talking about problems in life, right? How do we create better quality solutions? Well, we need to get asked better quality questions in order to get better quality answers. Sometimes better quality question needs to go to somebody we know and respect and ask them the question of, how do I make this happen? Yeah. And I think that's something that so many men, if we had the courage to put our hands up and say, hey, this isn't working right now. How can I do better? Who's done this before? Who in my network have I seen get through this situation? And ask that question. I think that's such an important thing. Why is sorry?
I think finding someone who's been there and done it, like they figured it out. Like find someone who's been there, done what you want to do, and they're very good at it. Like you'll save years of hassle and trial and error, but you got to pay for it.
Yeah, well, you pay for it one way or another, don't you? You either pay for it financially through the pocket, or you pay for it with the experiences that you got to go through.
All time.
Yeah,
and you get the money, you can't get the time back.
Yeah, 100%. So thinking about that, and I'm thinking about the question that Martin just asked you about personal development. How important is continued personal development to you?
I think, like after being with Mick for 6 years now, it's like a good change that I've just left, done something, going to do something different. Like it's kind of being the apprentice. It's being taught how to do all these things now, and it's like a bit on my own back now to learn how to do, use what I've been taught and the tools I've got to now like keep going with it, like, and help other people along the way, which is probably what I've found that I enjoy a lot. So kind of share what's learned, right?
Yeah. Well, you've just done 6 years with a coaching program, Mick Hawes, and Mick's a great mentor, and especially for a business and growing at the moment, and you haven't had any coaching, definitely look up Mick Hawes. I think he's a lot of value to any construction business. But you've just finished up with 6 years of that. Are you going to find another coach to help you through life?
Yeah, I've got a few others at the moment that I use, like done a bit with Tony Robbins and all that sort of stuff. So I've been to a fair few of his programs, which I've still got a few this year. So yeah, I'll see how the rest of the year goes because I've already signed up for a few of his, and then kind of see where the year after that leads. So
what do you get from the Tony Robbins programs? Because they're pretty well known. But you do the top end of his programs. What do you get from them?
it's just the experience. Like, going to his things is like nothing you've ever been before. Like, and the good part is it's not all about business. That's, it's been something different in regards to learning so much about business, which has been good. But his programs aren't just about all that. Like, it's about people and personalities and yourself and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, his events is, one of the biggest thing he runs on is immersion. Like, people tell you, like, when we do one of his things, we did in 4 days, we did 56 hours and had about 12 hours sleep. And people go, how do you sit there for that long? I'm like, you can't explain it till you go there. Like, you'll understand when you go and do one. But you've also got to be pretty open to it, to like just go with whatever they say and whatever's going. Because yeah, it's crazy how, like, I think when we were in Miami, we did on the fourth. No, sorry, we did a business course. It was on Zoom, and by the fourth night, I'd only had like 6 hours sleep, and we were still going. Like, you'd sort of get like 1 or 2 hours a night, and then you'd get another 2 hours a night, and then yeah, it was insane. And it went for 7 days, 6 days. Yeah, it's crazy. You get to the end of the week and you've had 7 days, you've had like 16 hours sleep, and you're like, what the fuck? And you feel fine. Like, you don't feel tired.
Yeah. And how much value did you get out of that?
I just got heat, but it's more about immersion. Like, it's just the psychology of the doing with, the learning at the same time, and the physical thing of doing it. And they keep you quite upbeat with moving around and stuff as well, which helps keep that memory in check. So it lets you absorb so much more. So yeah, it's like experiencing something, and you learn a lot more when you do it or experience it yourself versus, trying to learn it from someone else as well.
Hey, where would you recommend people start if they wanted to get into personal development?
Find your biggest problem and figure out who can help you with it. Yeah, wow. It's like they teach you with like the 6P elevator, like the wheel of life. Like, you basically have this wheel, and you do your, out of 10, you rate, your finances, your personal relationships, your family and friends, like business, health, all that sort of things. And you can go around and quite quickly, you can see what area needs working on. But yeah, normally start on the one that you struggle with the most, I would say, like, or the one that you want to improve the most.
Do you find that when you work on the one you want to improve the most, other areas in your life improve also?
Yeah, it's one of them things where and it's getting that momentum going. Like, once you get going, you start getting, you build a little bit of confidence, and you keep going, and the next thing you know, you can start taking on bigger challenges as well.
Yeah, giddy up. Well, I got 2 last questions for you. One, what advice would you give 21-year-old you?
Just hang in there and you'll figure it out. It's probably what I would say.
Why would that be your advice?
I don't know, because I always do. Like, you hang in there long enough, you're eventually going to figure out, and nothing lasts forever. So, it only storms for so long, and then the sun comes back out again, right? But when you're in the storm, it makes it a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had one bit of advice for someone watching this right now, what would that be?
I don't know, just keep learning and growing, trying different things.
Why?
I don't know, because it's the experience of life, right? Like, it's where all the good stuff is. On the other side of the shit you didn't think you were going to enjoy.
I'm going to highly recommend people take that on, because that's one of the best bit of advices that I too have ever received. Try everything. Make sure you don't like it before you knock it, because you never know what's behind the other side of the door. So give it a crack. Joel, I could honestly talk to you for hours, because we do often.
Yep.
So I really want to thank you for being someone in my life that I admire, but more importantly, like to grow with. And I hope people watching this today took something of value away from it. I'm sure you did. But I look forward to creating more opportunities with you throughout life. Thank you for being my second guest on the Good Men Project.
It works.
Any final statements from you?
No, I think I've said all I need to say.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. For those watching, thank you very much. This is a new podcast, and a lot of the names that will be popping up to join me in the conversation are people that you don't know. But I want you to know, because they do good things for themselves and they're good things for others around them. And Jolie's one of those blokes that does do that. So from my heart to yours, thanks for joining us. Now I have to find the button. Thanks, Joel, for joining us, mate.
No worries.
Yeah. All right. Now, where's that button? There. Hang on. All right, and there it goes. Oh no, it has 11.